Welcome back to Harbaugh. There's a reason Mitt Romney's team seemed confident in the days leading up to the election. Remember how they were? Well, their internal polls, it turns out, showed Romney on the brink of victory. The problem was that the electorate, they told themselves, bore little resemblance to the actual people who showed up at the polls. The New Republic magazine has a dramatic illustration of this. The magazine obtained the internal poll numbers from the Romney camp in the days leading up to the November 6th election. In Iowa, the campaign's numbers showed them tied with Obama. In reality, Obama beat Romney by about 6 points. In Colorado, Romney's team thought they were, up by 2.5. They actually wound up losing by 5.5. Excuse me, I'm burping here. In New Hampshire, Romney's polls had him ahead by 3.5. The reality, Obama won by 5.5. These are like 9-point differences. The New Republic also showed Romney's internal numbers were off in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Minnesota. A closer look at the numbers shows even more clearly why their confidence peaked right before the vote. Over the last weekend there, the Romney numbers showed Romney gaining strong momentum in these key states. In Wisconsin, Obama lost 4 points in the polling, just as Romney gained 4, tying up the race. And in New Hampshire, Obama lost 4 while Romney gained 3, giving him a decisive lead. The magazine quotes a Romney aide on election night talking to Romney's son, Tag. As the results were coming in, quote, he looked like he was in a complete state of shock, as if these numbers cannot be real. To make matters worse, their polling told them that Florida and Virginia, 2 states that Romney lost, were in the bag. Well, now the Republican Party's left asking itself what went wrong and how they fix it. John Brabender is, of course, Republican strategist and top advisor to Rick Santorum. And Robert Shrum is our old friend here, Democratic strategist and a columnist for the Daily Beast. I want to start with you, John, and you're on the inside. You know something about this. Do you understand how somebody would think that the electorate that's going to participate in 2012 in a general election with Barack Obama, an African-American, a Democrat, and a relatively popular president would create a different electorate than the one you saw, say, in 2010 or in a primary situation?
Well, I think, and as you know, every poll starts with an assumption. Here's who we think is going to show up and vote, therefore that's who we ask the question of. Republicans, and not just the Romney campaign, but Republican pollsters all across the country guessed wrong. We didn't see the intensity that there was there for the president, particularly among young voters. We oversampled male white voters. And, you know, you add all that together and you're going to see 2, 3, 4-point differences. Plus, the assumption always is that the incumbent is not going to pick up any votes on Election Day. I think this time, actually,
I think that's right. Bob, those 2 points, you're a pro. Let's go through the first one. Perceptions about the enthusiasm level. We thought, you and I were watching the last election, 2000, you could see well before the election of 2008 the excitement for Obama. You could feel I felt it myself, obviously, at the election, at the rallies we'd go to, all the speeches. Right. This time around, it was an effective excitement. It wasn't, wow, 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 we love this guy's speeches. The speeches weren't that great this time by Obama. But it was effectively excited because they all decided to vote for other reasons. I think voter suppression efforts besides. But what was that? How come it wasn't palpable that this guy was going to get the same turnout as he got last time?
Well, it was clear to Joel Benenson, who was the Obama pollster and who got the thing right on the money. It was clear in the average of the public polls as Nate Silver compiled it. I just think the Republican Party, I think John's right about this, there was an assumption inside that party that there was going to be a different electorate.
Did you see it, Bob? Did you see the excitement this time we both saw in 08 for Obama?
No, of course you didn't see the same level of excitement, but I saw a level of determination that was intense.
Okay,
I saw people waiting for hours in line in the polls. And I'll tell you one other thing. You cannot explain simply by your conception of what the electorate was going to be those crazy momentum numbers that you showed over that last weekend. There was something else wrong with that polling.
What do you think it was?
Well, first of all,
was it the getting together with Governor Christie and that great show of bipartisanship? Was it the fact that your side couldn't push the Benghazi issue they were pushing for some weird reason for weeks before that? What changed the last weekend toward Obama?
Well, certainly, I think Sandy did change a little bit. It let the president be president.
Yeah.
And people like to see him. I think that helped.
It changed the subject from Benghazi, too, which they went right back to after the election.
I would also say this race was more of a referendum in some way on Mitt Romney than it was the president. And that's unusual.
Did your side, I know you're a true believer, and I respect that. Do you think, I mean it, do you think they didn't really believe he believed?
No, I don't think that was the problem.
You know?
I think the bigger problem was 2 things. They never personally connected with him. They never felt this attachment, and they just didn't see him
That's
as
just personal.
yeah, that's his personality. Second of all, I think we failed middle-income, blue-collar voters who feel that we no longer understand their life, no longer are fighting daily for them, and they think what we're about are just the social issues and fighting for tax breaks for the wealthy. That's not what we're about, but we sure let that
I know. My
perception
dad used to
happen.
say, my dad's a regular Republican, not a right-winger. He used to say the trouble with my party, his party, was they care about the big corporations too much. That's the way he looked at it. Like GE, he used to always point to it. Look at this. Romney's senior advisor, Stuart Stevens, defended his campaign and his candidate this week in a big article he wrote. He said the campaign had the right ideas but failed to do a better job, oh my God, communicating to women and Hispanics. Let's take a look. They communicated all right, I would argue, quite well.
I think we should have done a better job reaching out to women voters. The governor has a great record on women's issues. We should have done a better job articulating that record. And we should have done a better job reaching out to Hispanic voters. We should have done it earlier and in a more effective way. And I think looking forward, those are questions for the party. I think we have a very good message there. We just have to do a better job with it.
Bob, I would argue that the message got out from Akins, it got out from Murdoch. It may not just be Romney, but the sense of almost weird right-wingism on social issues got out there. And I think a lot of, especially the numbers show, single women were really turned off at the chance that they like the looks of Romney in that first debate. A lot of numbers show they like what they saw out there, strong performance on economics, but then they go, oh, this other stuff is scaring me away. That's what I think.
Yeah, look, I don't think the structure of the race changed even after the first debate, and it wouldn't have unless the president turned in the same kind of performances the second and third time around. But look, Romney did reach out to Hispanics. He reached out and pushed them away. He talked about 11 million people self-deporting. He used the phrase illegals. I mean, he did everything he could to make sure that that constituency, which Rove and Bush understood was critical to Republicans winning the presidency, wouldn't be there. The most extraordinary thing that Stewart wrote in his op-ed in the Washington Post was, our ideas carried the day. Well, they didn't carry election night,
so
and that's what counts.
I think voters are very aware what the issues were and what side both sides took. Look, speaking last night at a gala for a conservative group, Senator-elect Ted Cruz, a real hero of the Tea Party from Texas, gave a postmortem on the election. Here's what he said. You want to know why Barack Obama won 71% of the Hispanic vote? Tone on immigration contributed. But I think far more important was 47%. Republicans nationally, the story they conveyed was that the 47% are stuck in a static world. We don't have to worry about you. I cannot think of an idea more antithetical to the American principles of this country's founding. Well, that's a strong statement. Did he mean the 47 thinking, or the fact that David Corn and Mother Jones got that out, that he had said that down there?
Well, I think part of it is we did let the other side define it.
Well, was it the thinking about looking down on people, or was it the words?
I think what happened is early on, the Obama people did a good job with the perception that Mitt Romney wasn't George Bailey, he was Mr. Potter.
Right,
and,
exactly.
And then we said narratives that confirmed that to people.
Lionel Barrymore.
Yeah, and we can't do that as a party. As a party, we have to let everybody know we're fighting for them, understand their lives, and frankly, we failed this time, but we did well in 2010, and we can do well again.
The banker's eye, right? I mean, Tip O'Neill used to say the guy who had the eye missing and one was a glass eye, I'd say that was the warmer one, the glass one, for the banker. Your thoughts, Bob, is it just the personality of the guy who looked like an elitist, cold-hearted guy that would say no to you when you went to the banker's window?
Yeah, that was part of it, and I don't always agree with John. In fact, I seldom agree with John, but I'll tell you, he's right. What happened in the summer was that the Obama campaign brilliantly went out and defined Mitt Romney. They defined him with the Bain ads. 18 years after he lost that campaign to Senator Kennedy, he wasn't ready for those Bain ads. I found it inexplicable that they didn't have some kind of comeback. He defined him on the auto bailout. He defined him on tax returns. I mean, Mitt Romney
Bob, you taught them the lesson that first time. They should have been ready to see they were going to do it again. Hey, Bob Schrum, I'm out of time. It's always an honor to have you on. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Thank you. And John Brabender, you're always welcome here, sir. Up next,